Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Hope you guys are doing well on this Thursday afternoon. Just want to let you guys know that at 6 o'clock, I'll be on the Always Brisbane Broncos YouTube channel, live streaming the game, the trial game between the Eels and the Dragons. So make sure you guys subscribe to the Always Brisbane Broncos and come stop by and say hello and enjoy the stream between the Eels and the Dragons in that little trial game. But this video this afternoon, it's going to be my St. George Illawarra Dragons 2021 predicted NRL side. As always, I've gone through the Dragons 30-man squad. I've put together my best 1 to 17 for the Dragons, along with a couple of reserve players in case of injury and suspension. So let's go through it and let's go through the team, and then I'll explain who I've got where after. So fullback Matt Duffy, on the wings Michaeli Ravalawa and Cody Ramsey. In the centres, Zach Lomax and Jordan Pereira. 5'8", Jack Bird. Halfback, Ben Hunt. The front row of Paul Vaughan and Josh Kerr. The hooker is Andrew McCulloch. The second row of Tyrell Famunio and Tarek Sims. The lock is Blake Laurie. And on the interchange bench, I've gone with Possa for Malawi, Trent Merrin, Daniel Alvaro and Jackson Ford, and the coach is Anthony Griffin. And the 4 reserve players, in case of injury and suspension, I've gone with Corey Norman, Cade Ellis, Adam Clune and Braden Williami. That is my St. George Illawarra Dragons 2021 predicted NRL team. Now, I'll start with the fullback, Matt Duffy. I think it's a no-brainer. The Dragons only have Matt Duffy as probably the best fullback at the club. They probably don't have much depth in the fullback position. If Duffy were to go down due to an injury, or if he was to get suspended, then I guess Lomax would probably go to fullback, and they would probably bring in Braden Williami, or they would move Bird to centre and Norman at 5'8". But look, I think Matt Duffy is the obvious choice at fullback for the Dragons, and he's obviously the best man for the job. So Matt Duffy's the fullback for the Dragons. The wingers, Michaeli Ravalawa and Cody Ramsey. Now, Michaeli Ravalawa, I thought he improved a lot last year. I thought he played a lot better. A lot of people gave him crap and said he was a terrible player, but I thought he did a great job for the Dragons last year. Had a great combination on that right side with Zach Lomax, and I'm looking forward to seeing the progress of Ravalawa this year. So obviously I got him on the wing, along with Cody Ramsey, who was a young up-and-coming star of the game, a young prospect. I think he's a kid that will definitely improve and get better week in, week out. I think he'll make the first grade side. I've got him on the wing, very inexperienced, but you've got to blood the young kids eventually. So I think Cody Ramsey will play on the wing for the Dragons, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he goes. In the centres, Zach Lomax and Jordan Pereira. Zach Lomax is a no-brainer. One of the best centres in the game, probably in the top 5 best centres in the game at the moment. He's a fantastic player. I think he's a future State of Origin player. A pretty good goal kicker as well, Zach Lomax. Had a fantastic year last year in a struggling Dragon side. So, obviously, Lomax makes the centres here. The other centre I got, normally a winger, but I moved him to the centres here. Jordan Pereira. Now, Jordan Pereira was good last year for the Dragons at getting the sets rolling, doing all the things right that the wingers do. But I think to bring the young kid Cody Ramsey in the side, I think Pereira should move to the centres. I don't think it'd be a tough fit for him. He's a pretty good defender. He's a very good player at getting the sets rolling. I think he'd be a very good centre for the Dragons. So I got him in the centres. I think he'll do a good job if he was to play there. In the halves, 5'8" Jack Bird. I think Jack Bird his best position is 5'8". I know he's played centre before and killed it. I know he's played a little bit of fullback in his junior days at the Dragons, and there's been talk about him playing back row, but that would be ridiculous, I think. So Jack Bird, he needs to be closer to the ball. I think he'd be a very good 5'8". He's a big body. He's a destructive runner with the ball, and I think Jack Bird at 5'8" would be a great fit. I want to see him play 5'8" for the Dragons, and if I was the coach of the Dragons, I'd have Bird at 6. I think it'd be the best thing for the club and for him as a player. And the halfback, Ben Hunt. Now, a lot of people say hooker for Ben Hunt, but now they got McCulloch at the club. I think Ben Hunt has to be playing halfback. He's on huge money. He needs to have a big season. I think he just got announced as captain of the Dragons as well. So, look, a bit more pressure on Ben Hunt now. I think Ben Hunt needs to be playing a lot better this year, and I think he will have a better season than he's had in the last couple of years. He's had a couple of ordinary years, Ben Hunt, but I think he'll bounce back this year, Ben Hunt. So I've got him at halfback. The front row of Paul Vaughan and Josh Kerr. Now, Paul Vaughan had a very disappointing season last year in that Dragon side who were just diabolical. Let's face it. Paul Vaughan, he's played for Australia, played for New South Wales, and needs to step up and be a leader this year for the Dragons. So I think Paul Vaughan will have a better year this year. I've got him in the front row, along with Josh Kerr, a very good young front rower coming through at the Dragons. I think he'll start in the front row now with James Graham retired and Tyson Frizzell off to the Knights. I think Josh Kerr in the front row with Paul Vaughan will be a good thing for the Dragons. Hooker, Andrew McCulloch. We all know there's going to be a lot of pressure on McCulloch now. With Cameron McGuinness doing his ACL, he's off to the Sharks. McCulloch's there at the Dragons for the next 3 years. So there'll be a bit of pressure on McCulloch to play well. If he plays poorly, there'll be a lot of question marks on McCulloch and the Dragons. So McCulloch at hooker, I think he'll do a good job in his first year. As for his other 2 years he's contracted there, I still don't know how he'll go for those other years, but I think he'll play well this year, and I think he'll shut up all the people that are being critical of him. In the back row, Tyrell Famunio and Tarek Sims. Now, Tyrell Famunio is a player that I've always been a big fan of. He used to play a lot of centre for the Rabbitohs back in the day, and he played a bit of New South Wales Cup with the North Sydney Bears as a back rower / centre. I think he should get a crack in the second row for the Dragons this year. I know that there's a bit of question marks with Tyson Frizzell leaving. I do remember last year, when Tyrell Famunio played a bit of back row. He was doing a pretty good job, and then he got injured, and it sort of kept him out of the side. So I want to see Tyrell Famunio get started in the second row for the Dragons this year, and I think he's a very good player. I think he'll do a good job. The other second row is Tarek Sims. Now, Tarek Sims, much like Paul Vaughan, he's played state of origin football before. He needs to step up. He's an experienced bloke in the side. He needs to be better. He needs to fix up his discipline a little bit, Tarek Sims. On his day, he's a very good second rower. When he's off, he's just coating people for no reason. But hopefully Tarek Sims can pull his finger out of his ass and have a better season. So I've got him in the back row with Tyrell Famunio. Lock, Blake Laurie. I think Blake Laurie is probably the best option for the Dragons in the lock position. You could argue Trent Merrin, but I think Blake Laurie is not really much of a lock. He's more of a front rower, but I think he'll start for the Dragons. I got him at lock, but wouldn't be surprised if I went with someone like Jackson Ford or if I went with Trent Merrin in the starting side. But I think Blake Laurie will do a job for the Dragons at lock, and hopefully he can improve his game this year. And on the bench, first player is Posa Fulmasalelu. I can't even pronounce that name. I do apologise. But Big Posa, who left the Roosters to go to the Dragons, I think he'll do a really good job. He's a very good young player coming through the grades. I think he'll make the Dragons 1-17. He's a very good young player to watch out for. I think he might have a big year. So I think Posa will make the bench, along with Trent Merrin. Trent Merrin, ever since he left the Leeds Rhinos and come back to the Dragons, he hasn't really been given much of a fair go, in my opinion, Trent Merrin. He's a very experienced player. He knows his job very well. I think he'd be good off the bench for experience and leadership. So I've got Trent Merrin on the bench, along with Daniel Alvaro, who left Parramatta, gone to the Dragons. I think he'll do okay, Daniel Alvaro. You can't really take trial form into it, but last week in that trial game against the Sharks, Daniel Alvaro played quite well. So, if he has good trial form, he might make the 17. So I think Alvaro will make the bench for the Dragons. And the last player I got for the bench is Jackson Ford. Now, Jackson Ford could start at second row for the Dragons. Wouldn't be surprised, but at the moment I got him on the bench, and I think he's in for a big year. Jackson Ford, a very good back rower coming through. Now, the first player I got in the reserves, just in case of injury and suspension, I think Corey Norman will be in the reserves. Now, most people think Corey Norman will start at 5'8". He probably will, but if I was in charge, I wouldn't have a bar of it. I've had enough of Corey Norman. I think he's overrated, overpaid. I think he cares more about his t-shirt designs more than he does his playing career. Corey Norman needs to step up too. He's on pretty good money at the Dragons, and I think he's stealing a living. So I think Corey Norman needs to step up, and at the moment I got him in the reserves along with Cade Ellis. Now, Cade Ellis, he might be on the bench. He's a very good player. He left Penrith last year and went to the Dragons mid-season. Played quite well for the Dragons, actually, Cade Ellis. So I wouldn't be surprised if he made the starting side, but at the moment I think he'll be on the bench, along with Braden Williami. Now, he was playing in the centres for the Dragons, and then he got injured as well, so that kind of ruined his chances of there. But I think Braden Williami will definitely get a crack this year, but at this stage I think he'll be in the reserves. And the last player I got is Adam Clune. Now, Adam Clune, for mine, he needs to be given more time in first grade, but I think with the way the Dragons have got their team sorted, I think he'll be in the reserves, but I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the team at all. But I think he's a player, Adam Clune, where if another club was interested, I think he would take the money and run to another club. But Adam Clune will probably be in the reserves most weeks, but I think he's a player with great potential. But anyway, guys, that's my St. George Illawarra Dragons 2021 predicted NRL team. Let me know what your Dragons 1-17 is in the comment section below. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching on this Thursday afternoon. Have a fantastic Thursday night. I'll see you guys on the Always Brisbane Broncos YouTube channel for the Eels Dragons live stream. And I'll see you guys again later tonight for the review of the Dragons Eels trial game. Until then, guys, stay safe, have a good one, and I'll see you guys in the next one.